witness cybersecurity now, and Liberty Holdings has assured customers that it's doing all it can to protect their information. This follows a breach of the insurer's IT infrastructure. Hackers managed to access emails and some data. So how worried should customers be? Liberty CEO David Munro joins me in studio now. Thank you so much for coming through. David, let's start here. Your customers entrusted you with a great deal of personal information, some of it very sensitive for you, to enable you, of course, to conduct the business that you conduct. You failed them. Good evening, Tulisiwe, and thank you for having me on the show. Yes, we have had an unauthorized and illegal penetration of our IT network. And as we've said, that did lead to some of our emails and attachments being stolen from us. We are definitely focused on making sure that where we understand that information taken from us impacts a customer, we will deal with them directly. What we've been categoric, though, in saying is that there's no evidence at this point in time that this impacts any of our customers from a financial point of view. But this doesn't downplay at all, David, the impact that it has on their personal information now being in the hands of a third party whose machinations they really cannot understand. No, absolutely right. And we have a huge amount of resources focused on making sure that we understand the data that's been taken from us, because this is, as you say, very sensitive information that people have entrusted with us. We are not yet in a position to disclose how much of this information has been taken, but we absolutely understand the concerns of our customers. How did this happen, David? I mean, surely you should have systems that guard against this kind of thing. Yeah, you know, I think we absolutely have those systems, but I think what we should recognize is that this is a global phenomenon. This is a function of the digital revolution. As our businesses become more digital, so they become more connected. And there's a very sophisticated criminal network out there looking to find vulnerabilities and then extort money for this. And that's exactly what has happened to us. But I guess part of what worries many people, David, is that, you know, certainly according to the reports out there, is that you were alerted to this breach by the very people that committed the breach when they were now demanding some kind of ransom, which suggests that you had not even picked up that there had been a breach. No, and that is the nature of these events, in that they had penetrated our systems, and then they brought this to our attention by holding us to ransom through an extortion, requiring us to make payment to them. And, of course, that then led to us scrambling our teams of technology specialists, security specialists, to, one, make sure that we reinforced our infrastructure and took back control of all of our assets, and then started to understand the nature of the information that they'd taken from us. What do you say, though, David, in all honesty, about your standards, your information standards? Information security standards, particularly things such as, many people will say, for example, this should have been encrypted, certainly on the side on which you keep it, such that only people with a certain level of authority can access it, or perhaps after satisfying certain protocols to be able to access this kind of information. I think you should have had those systems in place, surely. Yeah, no, we had, definitely we had the conventional view of a technology perimeter, firewalls, making sure that we did do our best to protect our clients' data. But what has transpired, evidence is that there were vulnerabilities and that people could enter our systems undetected and take things from us. That's a difficult lesson for us to learn, and we've invested a lot of money to make sure that we've dramatically enhanced the capability of our software to detect these kind of things and protect our assets and information. In terms of the question of encryption, you generally encrypt information when you exchange it with somebody. It's very difficult to encrypt information inside your own organization because there's so much information flowing around your organization all the time. So encryption is more about the exchange of information between two parties. So you are pretty confident that your customers were not compromised from a financial perspective, but how much exposure and risk have they been exposed to in as far as their personal information? What can people do, for instance, with some of the information that's out there? Do you even have an understanding of what this information is that's out there? Yes, and I think your question speaks to the concerns that our customers have. And I think if you look at what we've tried to do here, we alerted our customers first. We made sure that they understood that something had happened, and we're consistently trying to work with our customers to individually deal with them where they may have been impacted. We've been clear to say to them, if you've been impacted, we will contact you. If you feel vulnerable, contact us. So that's the first piece of response to your question. The real thing then is that the information that has been taken from us is email data.
So it's unstructured in its nature. So we have to look at each instance and say, well, what was the content of the email? Who does it affect? It could affect a staff member, it could affect our business, or it could affect a customer, and then deal with the specific circumstance. So it's not data repositories that's been taken here, it's email data, which is unstructured and therefore more complex for us to deal with case by case.
Well, yeah, and within email data, of course, there could be other information that customers would have been disclosing in good faith to some of your employees, of course, in the course of doing business with you. Tell me about the investigation that you are conducting. Who are these third parties? Who are these people that were holding you to ransom? Are you any closer to understanding who they are, who their motives, what their motives were, and did they get any help from the inside?
Yes, Tulisiwe, I mean, there's obviously a lot of speculation, and I've been asked many times in the last day or two this exact question. This is a matter that is subject to both our own internal investigation to make sure that we understand what happened inside our organization, but also this is very relevant to our regulators and the authorities in this country. And the details that you've asked me are subject to that investigation. And so we're not in a position at this point in time to respond to these questions or to respond to the speculation that's out in the public domain. But
are you able to confirm at least that there's now a criminal investigation also ongoing parallel to your own internal review of what happened?
Yes, we've spoken to all of the relevant authorities in this country that would have an interest in this matter, including, and we've been approached by the information regulator, and I'll be meeting with the information regulator later this week.
All right, thank you so much for coming through. That is Liberty Holdings CEO David Munro talking to us there about that situation at the company that had to do with customers' data that was somewhat compromised by hackers.